it turns out that the policy is just, I don't have a policy at the federal level. This is up to the states. So that's it.
His position is exactly the same as it was a year ago, is that he is just saying, I appointed Supreme Court justices who overturned the federal right to an abortion. I'm leaving it to the states, and there is absolutely no change. Abortion has been really the quagmire for Republicans, really since Roe was overturned. They have not figured out kind of what is next for the party. The party is fractured over what it wants, and Donald Trump really views this as a politically radioactive situation. His top advisors have urged him, based on my reporting, to not take a position. There are a bunch of anti-abortion people who want him to put a more specific ban in place at the 15-week mark. He shied away from doing that. And so it's really his attempt to try to neutralize what is the Republicans' biggest vulnerability heading into 2024. Meanwhile, the Democrats are gleeful over this announcement, and they're going to keep using it to really try to bludgeon him on the campaign trail of his policy. What's really interesting is he tried not to be handcuffed by a number of weeks, for instance, to your point, counseled not to do that. He also upset a lot of evangelicals. Mike Pence was speaking for them today. Nancy, I'm sure you saw his post on X. President Trump's retreat on the right to life is a slap in the face to the millions of pro-life Americans who voted for him in 2016 and 2020, he writes. We saw similar refrains from others in the community. Lindsey Graham, for instance, who was pushing for a 15-week national abortion ban, not happy with Donald Trump. Did he do more good or more damage? Well, I think that what his play is to try not to alienate swing voters and white suburban women, and that is really what he is looking towards the general election. I think that he thinks the Republican base is already going to support him, including people who don't like abortion, and so he's trying to preserve some goodwill with some other voters that he hopes to win over.
And of course, over the weekend, we saw a big fundraiser down in Florida, the Trump campaign raising more than $50 million, roughly double what Biden, together with Clinton and Obama, the former presidents, raised in New York earlier this month. But we also know that in the month of March, Biden and the Democrats pulled in $90 million. So Trump is still playing catch up here in the fundraising race, and he just had a lot of donors max out for this entire cycle.
He did. I mean, what the Trump campaign is trying to do is they're trying to say, hey, look, this is the kickoff fundraiser. We're going to have a bunch of other people join us. There are a bunch of billionaires who have supported Republican causes in the past. I'm thinking of Ken Griffin, Steve Schwartzman of Blackstone, Miriam Adelson, who have not given money to Trump yet, according to the federal election filings. But, what this dinner was meant to show was that the Republican donor class is starting to come around to him. I would say, though, he's not fully there yet, and fundraising still remains a weak spot for him compared to Biden.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. Nancy Cook, great to have you with us as we get things started on a Monday. Meantime, President Biden visiting the key swing state of Wisconsin today, outlining his plans to forgive student loans for as many as 30 million Americans. Here he is.
Today, I'm proud to announce 5 major actions to continue to relieve student debt for more than 30 million Americans since I started my administration. This relief can be life-changing.
Let's get into this now with Jordan Fabian, Bloomberg White House reporter. You might have deja vu on this one, Jordan. We've already done this, right? The Supreme Court said the first approach was not going to work. This is a plan B, as we've been reporting. They're trying to more carefully designate, I guess, classes of loan holders who they can target here. Will it make a difference from a legal standpoint?
Only the courts can decide that. They have tried to make it more tailored, like they're targeting groups like people whose balances are more than their principals, people who are eligible for relief but haven't gotten an application in. But look, it's going to be up to the court system to decide whether that is in fact true, that this is targeted enough that Biden could do it by himself without Congress. Mm-hmm. And this is not going to be resolved before the election. I would imagine there are going to be a lot of groups who are going to file lawsuits very soon. And we've seen how slow the court systems work. So for all those young voters out there who are looking for this debt relief, it might not be coming for quite a bit longer, if at all.
But clearly this is aimed at trying to make those young voters feel better about President Biden, knowing that he was speaking in Madison, Wisconsin today, one of the areas where in the Wisconsin primary you saw a large percentage voting uninstructed instead of for him in protest over his Israel policy. So is this the way that the Biden campaign sees it's the best chance of drawing those young voters upset over Israel and Gaza back into Biden's fold?
Yeah, certainly. This has been, student debt has been an issue for young voters, before the war. So they're trying to demonstrate, even if it doesn't get done, hey, I did everything I could. Even when the Supreme Court turned me down, I took a second bite at the apple, tried to get this debt relief for these young voters. But look, I think it's going to be really up to what is in the news cycle as we get closer to the election. The war is very uncertain. Is this going to be such a live ball for young voters in October, November, as it is now? And also, where does the debt relief stand? Has the court blocked it? Is that going to cause more frustration? These are all questions that are going to be really crucial in the months ahead.
Yeah, messaging from the White House over the weekend on the matter of Israel. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby got to the matter on ABC this week. Here he is.
We have been increasingly frustrated. And again, that was a core message that the president delivered to Prime Minister Netanyahu in their phone call this past week, that if they've got to do more, they've got to make changes. Now, the prime minister assured the president that he would do that. We've seen some announcements in those early hours. That's welcome. We got to see more. We've got to see it over time.
There were signs of progress today. Benjamin Netanyahu says there is a date for the invasion of Rafah. Does that stop the impression of progress?
It's hard to tell. I mean, there were 300 aid trucks, I think the U.S. said, that went in today, which is the highest number. They say they want to see that continue. And as for the Rafah invasion, it's hard to tell if that is a negotiating ploy. You have to remember all these parties have been at the table in Cairo, Hamas, Qatar, Egypt, U.S., Israel on this hostage deal. Is this Netanyahu trying to apply, some leverage there, or is this an actual invasion plan? It's sort of hard to tell. He did withdraw some troops from other areas of Gaza over the past few days. There's also a question of, are they repositioning forces for a Rafah invasion, or is this them backing off? A lot of fog of war, but certainly it's a tinderbox. It's as tense as ever.